I'm Courtney McGinley, joined here today with Emma, Jake, Jordan, and Evan. Excuse me, is Rebel Wilson on the rise? She just released a memoir about her life, including what's in store for her acting career and future. And also, we're going to dive into the latest on Morgan Wallen. So let's just get right into Rebel. So she has a new memoir. It's called Rebel Rising, a memoir. And it started out in 2020. She went on a weight loss journey. So her book publisher was like, hey, do you want to write a book about your weight loss journey? And she was like, yeah, of course. So she started writing. And when she got to writing, she started diving more deep into her life. So she was like, hey, to her publisher, is it okay if I really dive into these hard topics about my life? So I think that's something that is really important, because if she was stressed and overwhelmed, I think it's good to manage your emotions through writing. And that's actually one of the big topics she said, was that that's how she really let her emotions slide.
Yeah, and I think it's really interesting. You know, we have celebrities write memoirs a lot of the time, and Rebel Wilson was definitely known for her role as Fat Amy in Pitch Perfect. So while it makes sense that people are going to notice a big weight loss, I think it kind of shows more dimensions to her. And it's not just about her losing weight. It's also about her as a person, the things that she struggled with. And it really humanizes the celebrities. We've talked about a lot of different celebrities' memoirs, and every single time it really kind of shows the human of who they are.
And, you know, going into how you talked about, like, you know, Fat Amy's her most iconic character, I think it's really important to also note that she's kind of, you know, recognizing, you know, how she's been kind of typecast in Hollywood. I mean, look at movies, you know, comparing to Pitch Perfect, like Night at the Museum 3, and, you know, The Brothers Grimsby, for that matter, which we're gonna mention here in a minute. But I feel like it's really important to notice how, you know, she's kind of trying to she's not just limited to those types of characters. She's a lot more broad, and she has a lot more to offer in Hollywood.
Yeah, very versatile. And I think, like you guys mentioned, she's most known for that role in Pitch Perfect. So I think this book really helps bring out, Jordan, like you said, her humane side, and let everyone see her for who she really is, and not just this very stereotypical character that everyone sees her as. So.
And I feel like since the beginning of her weight loss journey too, like she's been stepping away from the spotlight a little bit. Like her last project, I think, was that movie Senior Year, where like she was a star of it, but also like it was like her first role that wasn't centering like around like you were saying, like the typecast and just like her weight. It was just like her being the lead of like a romantic like comedy. And so I feel like that was like a start of like the stepping stone. And now that she has this memoir, like she's starting to like get back out there. She has like some upcoming projects, something she's directing too. So I think it's like it's just really neat, like watching her just grow, not only as an actress, but just like as a human, like you guys said too.
Yeah, exactly. That's actually what she mentioned in an interview. She said, I wasn't in the spotlight for a while, but in 2020, when I did lose all that weight, something shifted where everybody was so like, oh, there's Rebel Wilson. We haven't seen her in a lot of projects in a while. And with that, like typecasting and in that realm, she mentioned a lot in her memoir about people pleasing, and that she really struggles with that. Mm-hmm. And she actually said in an interview, when you write about the truth, not everybody is going to be happy about it. And when she does have those people pleasing tendencies, that also kind of helped her, like writing her truth is like, yeah, not everybody is going to be happy about it, but in the people-pleasing standpoint, I know, like, for her, I'm sure that was really difficult to conquer, but also I applaud her for it.
Well, and I think a hard part about, you know, being in that limelight and being in Hollywood and movies and all that stuff is typecasting exists. And whenever you go in for auditions, people are looking for a specific hair color, a specific height, a specific weight. It's just a part of the industry that they've stepped into. And so that's the weird balance of, you know, you should be credited for your work and how you come across on camera, but it's also a big part of your job is the way you look. And I like that she's speaking out against that a little bit more and being like, I am more than my weight. This is me as a human. These are the things I've struggled with. And, you know, it's normal. It happens to everyone. It happens to me. It happens to all these actors and actresses. And like, let's be more aware of that.
Exactly. I would agree.
You know, going back to what you said, Courtney, about her being a people pleaser, I think it's really important to note that memoirs are like a tell-all. They're not really meant to be people pleasing. It's meant, you know, it can be interpreted however the audience reading it wants it. And I think that's really important. She dives into some like really tough topics in here, like the Sacha Baron Cohen, like, you know, accusations. And I just think it's really important to note that too. Like, you know, you might be uncomfortable with it. You might like those people, but she doesn't care. It's not about that. And if you're interested in her life, you might enjoy it. But, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that actually
Exactly.
Poses a question. So do you guys think in a tell-all memoir, it's important to really get it all out there no matter who else it affects? Or like, do you guys think that some things should be more shielded in a way?
I think it's really important to get it all out there.
I would agree too.
You're already shielded in the media. I think memoirs are the perfect place to let out what you're really feeling inside. If I were in that situation, I don't know that I'd want to hide anything anymore. I'd probably find a book as a way to really let my emotions out. And like going back to the people pleasing that you said, Jake, she called Sacha Baron Cohen a major a-hole in this. So it's people pleasing for some people, not some people pleasing for others. And I think it's really cool that she was able to say these things about him, but still be truthful to herself. And I know some people were saying that Sacha Baron Cohen and Isla Fisher just announced their divorce, got divorced. And
that was a real heart wrench to me.
Yeah,
They've been married for like 15 years.
I know,
Yeah.
over a decade. And people are saying that Rebel's book is the reason that their divorce happened.
Yeah,
I'm
there's
like,
that
no.
allegation
or
of that,
something.
Yeah, I'm like, that's just, I don't think that's
Well,
true.
Isla
I think
Fisher,
Rebel
wasn't
was,
she like defending her husband, like her ex-husband too? Like, am I incorrect? I thought she was. Like, she was.
I can't speak on that, but I just think it's so weird. Like, why would you blame it on Rebel? She's just trying to get
she's
her
just
stuff
trying
out
to
there.
set her soul free.
And B, her book came out April 2nd, and the divorce was announced last Friday. I don't know how many days are in between there, but it's probably
no
as
way
many
you're
as
gonna
one
read a whole
on one
book
hand.
and
So,
then file a
but-
divorce.
And another side of it is not every celebrity is writing a memoir. So in that point, it's like, of course, if you're choosing to write a memoir, you should be honest and you should tell your truth because it's not a requirement. But the people that choose to do it, that's your place, that's your safe space to let everything off your chest. And I think a big lesson that we can kind of learn from that too is you just got to be unapologetically you. And I think that's one of the best things we take away from these memoirs is like, this is your life, speak your truth. People aren't going to like it. That's on them. That's not on you. You make choices and other people are going to have to make their own.
And
Yeah,
if you look at like other actors, like Jeanette McCurdy, who just had her memoir published like about 2 years ago now, and she was like wildly successful from that. And like they could be potentially making her, I think, like a documentary out of it at some point too. But it's just so interesting, like you said, seeing these actors really opening up and just being vulnerable. And I'm not saying it's like a trend almost, but it's nice that like other actors are like, you know, like kind of taking advice from each other, kind of doing what each other's like, you know, following the leader a little bit. So like that's like kind of nice to see more actors like expand on that and like telling their own truth.
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's a stigma around telling the truth as well. I know a big topic in her memoir was when she lost her virginity and she was really scared to even admit to her family and her friends. The first person who ever found out about it was her publisher, her editor. And I just think that with that being said, like there is a stigma around just like that topic in general, but just like letting other people know, like I feel like celebrities, they shouldn't have to feel so afraid, but when they are presented in the media, that is something that everybody's going to judge you for something.
And I mean, that kind of goes every which direction. You could say that about anybody. People are always going to have judgments, always going to have something to say. It's a little bit harder when you're in those, public figure roles because a lot more people are going to have a lot more to say about you. But I mean, she's being honest. And I think that's something that everyone could take a lesson from is just
Exactly.
be unapologetically yourself.
Before we do move on to Morgan Wallen, I want to say that in an interview, she said that she's not at all opposed to Pitch Perfect 4. And what are your guys' thoughts on that?
I'm also not at all opposed to Pitch
I
Perfect.
Yeah, no, me neither.
love
Those are
Pitch Perfect.
classics.
I would
Peacock
love
just
to
did a
see where it
show
goes.
with like Bumper, like a spin-off show. So I definitely feel like they can like, just like make something out of that. Like either like another Peacock original show, like maybe like a Fat Amy spin-off or like something like that. But
It would
anything
definitely
would
be
be great.
interesting to see what that would become.
Yeah, like let's get it going.
Yeah.
But so a couple days ago, Morgan Wallen, he did more than let the liquor talk. I'm going to be honest. So he was arrested on Sunday night after throwing a chair off of a 6-story rooftop bar in Nashville, which like 6 stories, that's pretty
He
Also
definitely
close
had
to
some
some
whiskey
cops, too.
glasses.
I'm loving all the
Yeah.
references here.
But the chair, thankfully, it didn't hit anybody. But of course, it landed
right next to.
right between some police
Of
officers.
course it would.
Of course. So I actually did see a video on TikTok of the actual chair, though, and if someone was standing there, I think it really could do some serious damage. So one thing that I don't think it was out of anger, though. I think he was just really intoxicated.
Well, especially because when the police came to him, he was laughing about it, which probably just made them even more mad than they already were. But 3 felony charges. That's a big one.
That is a big one because a felony versus a misdemeanor. Felony is like the worst you can really get at. And I know he was bailed out, or he bought the bond $15,000, which $15,000 I don't really think to him is a lot.
Makes a dent.
And so I think that also poses a question, like, do you think celebrities get better treatment at all in these particular situations?
I think it just depends. I think, maybe the first couple of offenses, people are a little more lenient with them, but it's also, we have to hold everyone to these same accountabilities. And just because you're famous and you're a big country singer, you can't be throwing chairs off of 6-story buildings.
And this also wasn't like his first time getting a charge. I believe it was back in 2020. That's when he got his first charge for public intoxication. And I just feel like, you learn your lesson, and then like 3-4 years later, you're doing the same type of thing again. It's just like, I really don't think he had necessarily any like bad intentions, but just the fact that like you kind of let that happen again, like,
it's never good to let history repeat itself. But unfortunately, that concludes the entertainment panel. But don't worry, tune in next week to hear the latest in the world of entertainment and pop culture.